Welcome to the Dixie Doggers podcast. We're here to share knowledge and heritage. We hope y'all enjoy. Southern Cross. It's the best cut gear in the business. We run it on our dogs. Hit up Dave Williams at Southern Cross Cut Gear. Go to www.hogdoggear.com. If you're looking for Brahma and Brahma Cross cattle, Marc Rankin with the Rankin Ranch 38 Cattle Company, he specializes in them. He is the man for the job. He's based out of Oglethorpe County, Georgia, and you can contact him at 407-832-2077.
If you're buying or selling land, farms, or hunting property, these folks know land. Phil Wilson with UC Hunting Properties, 678-791-3483.
Hey, everybody out there in the dog world. What's happening with you? You got Nate and Joey back. Dixie Doggers podcast coming to you. Y'all like the way that sounds? Does that sound good? Does that sound bad? Sound mean? Does that sound sexy? All right, listen, we got a guest with us tonight. He is the man with the plan, and he's taking over the world, the hog dog world right now, at least until deer season. He's taking over the hog dog world right now, baby, because he's been on fire. Mr. Ricky, how you doing? We got Ricky with Lite Hounds.
I'm doing good, brother. How are y'all?
Good.
It's hot. It's hot here.
It was actually nice this morning, but it got 97 here this evening.
It actually was a little better today. We've had, I don't know what, 3 days, Nate, something like that, 3 or 4 days. It's been with the heat index or real feel, whatever you want to call it. It's been like 113, 114.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, it's and humidity is horrible. Oh my God!
I think the other day it was like 96 with 53% humidity or 56% humidity.
It had 64% that one day. It was 111. That was the real feel now, and then it had 64% indoor humidity.
Indoor humidity.
Yeah, I was like, that's where you get the term swamp ass.
That is a fact.
Right.
Indoor or outdoor.
Yeah, baby. Yeah. So, man, tell us what's been going on with you. I've noticed, when I first started following you and talking with you some, when we've done an episode before, you had all these big Texas whitetails, and I made monstrosity of deer on it. But now you got these old stinking ass pigs on the tailgate. What's up with that?
Well, deer season ended, and I felt like I needed more. So
Right on.
we're chasing pigs now with my own dogs. I've been hunting with buddies, for a long while, just hunting with their dogs, and I just never wanted to tackle having my own hog dogs. And really, we got done with deer season. I was kind of getting bored, and I can go with them whenever I want. But there's days during the week with my schedule that I can hunt, Tuesday or something or Thursday, and a lot of these guys can't. So I was like, man. I had picked up a cur dog from a buddy last year, and kind of in preparation for this. I was just kind of thinking maybe, I'll try it. If not, I'll put her on deer or whatever. And so after season, I was like, I just started hauling her with my buddies, and that was the end of it. I got that, and then I turned a deer dog into a hog. Another dog that I started on deer this year, I turned her into hogs, and she's running the show right now, and was all about it. So
now, what kind of dog is that?
She looks plot and she's not full, but she looks sounds like full blood plot. I think she's got a little bit of cur somewhere down the line, but she's black brindle, big ears, ball mouth. She's
nice.
She's open on a track, which has been kind of wearing me out, but she's got more hunt than more hunt than any of the dogs I've got right now that are starting, if that makes sense. Like,
yes.
She wants to roll and then not stop, and her drive is there. But the problem is I had her on deer half of the year, and so we switched gears. Well, the deal was we were putting her down with my huck dog, and she'd see a live deer, and boy, she is off to the races. Well, I'm not not the end of the world. You know, we'll just you know kind of hone her in on the dead deer. Well, we'd get to a dead deer, and she'd get to it, look at it, and then roll out, and just didn't really care. And so after seeing that about 10 times now, if it was a live deer and she was all about running and baying it, I mean, it was, you know, like a wounded live deer, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like if we had one that was gut shot or whatever, she was all about that. And so it was, I knew she had that in her. And anyways, so we got to the season and I was like, man, she just don't really care about dead animals. She wants to run game, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that just, to me, that just sounds like a pig dog. And over in our neck, you know, around here, there's nothing else, you know, we don't have lions or bears or nothing. So I was like, why don't we switch gears here? So we did. And she's been all about it. I mean, now she ain't deer broke yet by any stretch of the imagination, but if we get on pig, yeah. And it's bad because I've got this other, the cur dog, you know, and she's just a year old. And it's kind of hard because I'm basically starting two dogs at the same time, which is probably stupid. But, you know, I tried to do it smart at first and was running with buddies and they're finished dogs. That way we could keep them honest, you know.
Just do the
if they took
thing.
Off. Yeah.
No,
well,
for real. I mean, I'm telling you, man, I think it just does better in the long run.
Well,
you know,
I'm going to go through the long run. Yeah.
I mean, like you're a dog man, you know what to do with dogs, you know. And true enough, like you said, you could throw her in there with the buddies' dogs, and man, she'll be running no time, but she won't be as independent, won't be as strong of a dog. I wouldn't think. Like
that's true.
You know,
that's true. Yeah, and that's been the deal. Has been, you know, the Plot dog has no issues. Like she, you know, you set her on the ground, she's gone. You know, and it's refreshing to see because it's like. Holy hell, like a dog that'll just roll out and get out from underneath the shoes and, you know, got a babysitter. But by God, if we don't get on a pig in 30 minutes or an hour, she's running anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If we get on a pig right off the bat, then we're good the rest of the day. Like no issues. So I've gotten to where we pull in the gate and I'm looking for deer. I'm trying to find a deer and I'm going to dump her downwind of it immediately, just right out of the damn truck. And I'll give her a little correction if she gives after it. And if I give her that correction right off the bat, we're good the rest of the day. But boy, there's been a couple days where I'm about to pull all my hair out and I don't have any hair left really.
I had a buddy of mine that wanted to bring his blood tracking dog and go with us. And you know, and I told him, I was like, man, I don't doubt that it won't run hog. You know, I don't doubt that at all. I said, but like, I just don't know how it's going to fit in. He's like, oh man, come on, man. I was like, I was going to have to pass on it for right now. Cause it was still like, this was still a young dog, very impressionable. And I was like, if you throw it in the mix with these hog dogs, it might make a great hog dog. I was like, but your blood tracking career is going to be over now.
That's a fact.
Either that or mine is going to start. One of the two. You know, so plus I was worried. I was like, if this blood trailing dog comes out here and smokes my damn supposed to be hog dogs, I'm just going to be shitty, you know?
Yeah. I don't know why. I mean, personally, I wouldn't want to. If I had one started on deer, I mean, it's hard enough to get them just one track minded on that. I'd hate to introduce something, but I mean, I get it. If you want to run game year round or something, then
yeah. And that's all.
There's probably dogs out there will do it. You know what I mean?
That Louis dog that Nate had, which we lost him a couple months back, but like,
I heard about that.
He was pretty consistent. Like, I mean, I don't know. I think every one that we tracked, he put on the tailgate that was a fatal wound, and the other ones we got him back on camera. Now he didn't have a huge scoreboard, but it was like a dozen or so. And he didn't miss. He was accurate. And we could hog hunt him and even squirrel hunt him. You know, like he wasn't big on the coons. He loved the coon, but he didn't like coon hunt.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird, you know, but he would tree the hell out of a squirrel. And you could distinctly take him on any of those hunts. And if we were squirrel hunting and a hog jumped up, he didn't mess with the hog. He He would stay.
Really?
Yeah, it was the weirdest. And he literally was like that ever since he was a pup. And that, I think that a lot of that had to go from, he was never started with another dog.
Yeah.
We did the stupid thing like we were just talking about, and we
Right.
started two pups at one time. It was Louie and Eminem, and there was a lot of headaches. But
Yeah.
the end result, like I said, this year Louie was 2 years old. He's 2.5 years old, and there was several times we would go 4 to 6 miles to go get him because like
Heck yeah.
he had a motor on him. Now that's if he wasn't in the hogs, he would have to get out and
Right.
beat the bushes. But like you're talking about having a dog that's got that kind of hunt drive, that's just hard to find in itself, I feel.
Yeah. And like I said, I had taken her with Cody Hess, and then another buddy, Michael Moore, and then another buddy in Oklahoma, Taylor Bell.
Mm-hmm.
And they all, they run hog dogs and deer dogs, but after season is straight hogs. Well, when I brought her out, and they were like, "Man, we would take her in a heartbeat. We'd rather break her off of it than you can't put the game in the dog. She's got the game. You can try to hone in the focus on pigs, throughout the process." He said, "But the game's there. Like, you should be pumped, And I was. I mean, I'm still pretty happy with her. So, like I said, we're fortunate with that aspect of her.
Yeah. Now, so what do you got? What's the next step now? What's the plans on where you're at as far as like with your hog dogs?
So I've got that plot and the cur dog, and the plot's 2 years old. The cur dog's one. He's probably 16 months old or so. And then I was running around with them and baying pigs, and I with the buddies. And then finally I broke off, and one day I was like, hell with it. I'm like, we had pigs coming into the at the deer lease pretty every day, and I was like, man, surely I can go set them up for success on one of these feeders and get one. Well, hell, we pulled up to the gate, and there was a pig at the feeder. So I was like, well, here we go, now or nothing. And I dumped them. We weren't even downwind. I basically had to walk them to where they could see the pig at the feeder because I couldn't get downwind just the way it was laid out. And they went in there, didn't even go 200 yards, and bayed solid and shot the pig. And I was like, awesome. Like, that was our first one that, there wasn't anybody else there.
Nice.
And I loaded the dog, I didn't even load him up. I was like, it was me and my boy, my little 4-year-old boy.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, we'll hunt our way to the front gate and then go home. I was happy. Well, we went half a mile towards the gate, and boom, they struck, rolled out. And I mean, and that, of course, at this time, I'm like, is it a deer? Is it a pig? Like, what are we on here? And sure enough, they went like a little over half a mile and lost the pig. And then they were both kind of hunting around trying to find it. And then that plot dog found it again and held it up in some briars. And then, of course, the cur went in there and chimed in with her. But just went in and shot him. And I'm like, I'm stoked out of my mind. Like, we did it on our own. Did one I set up, and then the other one was just free cast and found it on their own. Well, you shoot them, and then, I'm like, well, I can do this all the time. So, hell, every other few days I'd go try it at the lease or wherever I'm at. And one day we had one bait up, and it was this thick briar patch stuff. And I mean, the dogs are making a 40-yard circle, and I can't see the pig. I don't know where the sucker's at. I just know he's in there. And I go stomping through there with a gun, and the pig breaks, and off it goes, and blah, blah. And I'm like, you know what? I need a catch dog. And so then it was like, what do I do? I don't even, I don't know what kind or who or how or what, And so then I went on the hunt for that. And Michael, my buddy Michael Moore over here in West Texas, I say West Texas, he's in Newcastle, Texas. It seems west to me, but I guess it's probably more central. He had a stag cross dog. He's like, man, you take her. I don't use her as much as I want to. She's, I've got other dogs that I'm using. He runs like an outfit. Like he runs hunts. Hell, he's hunting 5, 6 days a week, seems like.
Yeah.
So I bet he's got 50 or 60 dogs between him and his partner. So he was like, yeah, keep the legs on her, and you can have her or whatever for a while and see what happens. So I've been running her in the meantime, and she does all right. Um, she doesn't have that pit bull mentality that I'm looking for, really. But she is faster than any dog I've ever seen. Like, I mean, there's nothing getting out of sight. I mean, it's
Yeah.
if a pig breaks a bay, like, you just dump her, she'll catch it. Like, there's no, I mean, unless it's just super thick cover, like, it ain't getting away.
That's right.
And so now I picked up a puppy from a boy out in West Texas. That's a half Dogo and half Donovan Pinscher. And this boy's has the Donovan is the father to the dog. He's been catching out there. They do. To me, it seems kind of like Australia stuff. Like they will dump on pigs and just catch them with solo. They're not having any bay dogs really. He just goes and catches big pigs. Well, the father has been just jam up dog and does it on his own. So he had talked to me about getting a dog, and I said, well, I don't know what I want right now. I don't know if I want a straight 45-pound game bred pit bull. Do I want a tall dog? Whatever. And I said, well, hell, screw it. We'll see what happens. We might as well try it. He was wanting to give it to me. He wanted me to work it. So I've got that dog now, but she's only 16, 18 months old. So I'm hoping by next season I can get her going pretty good.
There you go. That's kind of to me, it's very interesting cross with the Donovan put in there. I want to see how that turns out. I like that.
That was kind of the deal. As I was intrigued, and I knew the dad had the game, and apparently the mama, was she's a full blood like registered top Dogo, and apparently she did it all herself too. So I was like, man, what do I got to lose? I mean, hell, I don't even know what the hell I'm doing anyways. I might as well try it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I kind of like the bigger dogs too. Like, I mean, I don't know why. I don't have any reason for it. Maybe I just like the way they look. But I like the thought of being able to, if a pig breaks a bay, I'd like to be able to drop the catch dog and be able to go catch the pig, whether he breaks or he's sitting still. You know what I mean?
Yes, I
And
do.
I've seen some little 45-pound pit bulls. If they don't catch him on that first catch, I mean, that pig's good as gone. Now, not every pit bull like that, but you know what I mean. I've seen it.
Yeah, it can, depending on that terrain, man. It can really be detrimental. Sometimes having a small dog.
Right, and then there's times you wish you had it.
Exactly. So like we did that for a long time with the Yog Terriers, the Jags, whatever you call them, and we made crosses, and then we made crosses with some like bird bulls, and like you said, none of ours really bayed anything. If there was 2 or 3 on the ground and they were baying, like, you get ready, because it's something. Probably a turtle, but it's gonna be something different. But man, you could put them little dudes in the thickest country, the thickest brush, and they would produce, and they shine right there. But same instance, like if we were out there with you, and the pig broke before they actually got him caught, they're probably going to get smoked, because if you got any open country.
Right.
So those legs, I think they'll come in really handy for what you're doing.
Yeah, and we've got thick stuff. I mean, like I said, a lot of this stuff is, I mean, it would be beneficial to have a smaller dog, and that's honestly, I'm I've been offered a couple other tall dogs and more stag type, running type dogs, and I really think that I'm going to go towards just a straight bulldog, like a small dog or a shorter dog for those instances, like and then briar thickets and stuff. That way I can have one dog that's got some legs and one dog that can shoot through and get in that thick stuff. So that's my next thought, because I'm probably going to end up with another. I'd like to have 2 catch dogs just to have help, and then different situations for different stuff. So that's my next thought process is trying to find a, a smaller frame, just straight bulldog type
Okay.
catch dog. So that's my thoughts right now. Hell, I might change here in about 6 hours,
That's
but
thing to say. But now, if you do keep that train of thought and you're looking for, somebody who's reputable, I know a few people. I'm not going to say their names here. We'll talk about it in private. But like,
yeah,
and the only reason I say that, it's not this big secret. It's just so the 100 people don't start calling them, and I don't even know if they have pups or young dogs or nothing. It's just some
right.
names, and like we can get you hooked up. If that's something that's it might work. Because I'm sure there's guys right there where you're at that's got just as good as stuff. Somewhere down
Oh,
through
yeah.
there. But no, I like the two catch dogs. Forever, I kind of was against it because I was like, well, one dog should be able
Oh,
to
really?
handle it. I was like, well, that was that ego.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
about what I thought, not what the dogs could do. And we had that itty bitty dog, and she got broke up bad, man. She was 28 pounds, little tiny
Oh my
thing.
God.
And the biggest hog that we've ever put our hands on in the wild, she hung it and she held it for way, way, way too long. And she lived, like she lived through it. But after that, I was like, there's no need. There's no reason why she shouldn't have had some help. She had a jag with her, but this hog is in the 400-pound range. And,
Oh my God.
And we're in the mountains. And it's just two of them. It's a 28-pound dog and a 22-pound dog. And I'm like this is not. But in our defense, my defense, I never turned the dogs loose. A guy that went with us had never been hog hunting. And he wanted to go. And we went to look at some property. And I took the dogs. I said, we're going to put them out of the box and just clip them up, so they wouldn't be sitting in the box.
Right.
And we were walking up this little logging road, and next thing I know, the two dogs went by. Thank God I had those. I had those old beep beep collars. I kept them on them all the time.
Good.
Yeah, because if it hadn't been for that, I don't know, it would have been the inevitable. But anyway, yeah. So after that, I was like, I've got a half a dozen good bulldogs at home or more at the time. I'm like, why am I not bringing two?
We'll be back after a quick break.
A quick thanks to supporters of the Dixie Doggers podcast: Southern Cross Cut Gear, UC Hunting Properties, Rankin Ranch 38 Cattle Company, Animal Housing Solutions, Boars N Broads, Ada Y Transport, Crockett Taxidermy and Processing.
Yeah.
And it changed so much. Like it really did. Send one, if you got a good hog and you can go in there and look at it, see what you're looking at, get you a game plan together, I guess you should say. You can stage them, send one, whichever's the fastest, wait a couple seconds, send the next one.
Mm-hmm.
Man, it worked so much better, and the dogs didn't take nowhere near the damage ever.
Yeah. I've been fortunate with these other boys that I go with. They've been doing it for a long time, and they all, I think pretty much all of them run too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or at least they have them. Now, if it's an 80-pound pig, whatever, we'll just dump one. But if it, there's no sense in sending one dog to a 180, 200-pound boar that's got teeth.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Much less anything bigger than that. But I mean, it's just, why not send them to hell? So that's what I've been, like I said, I've been leaning on them, and I'm learning from what they've done. You know what I mean? I've learned from all the years of their work. I've been lucky that they're helping me out, so
that's good, man. That's a good thing.
That's the plan. But let's see. So right now I've got two of Michael's catch dogs right now. I've got the stag dog, and then he gave me this freaking jughead pit bull dog. I know he's got a lot of pit bull, but he's probably 95 pounds. He's freaking
He's a big boy.
Huge. He's got, God knows what he's got, but his head's as big around as a basketball. So,
nice.
But that stag dog's got a lot more confidence with him.
Oh, I bet.
I'll dump him, dump him, and then wait about 17 seconds, and then dump the stag,
Yeah.
and they're getting there about the same time, and together they've got all the confidence in the world. And then she's 65, 70 pounds, but she's tall and lanky, and then that big sucker, his name's Snowman. He's straight white, big white pit bull, and obviously he's not all pit bull. He's got some other stuff, but together it's pretty cool. I haven't put them on anything just huge yet, but I don't think that anything should give them any problems. So
that's cool.
He's let me run that dog now, and I traded that cur dog back to him to run. He's got the sister to that dog and another one that's closely related. I can't remember how close, but for some reason those three yellow dogs together, they run. I don't know what it is. It's like they know they're like the two sisters together. They're both 16 months old, whatever, litter mates. And then when they're together, they're like rock stars. It's weird.
Mm.
Like they act like they're a lot older together than they do when they're separate. And anyways, he's got a couple hunts coming up with guys, and he's going to be putting a whole lot more work in there than I can at the moment. So I went over there and gave him back her for a few months, and now I'm keeping this big other catch dog. So right now I've got the plot dog and two catch dogs that can do stuff. So.
That's pretty cool, though. I mean, so like, being able to swap over, like, are you hunting the same properties that you track a lot of deer on, or do you have like separate properties you hunt for hogs, or?
A little bit of both. I mean, I have a couple places in a lease, and then I've got places that I have gained access from finding deer for folks. Which is a lot harder to get a hold of people to let you hog dog hunt. Just blows my mind. I will get paid to come run their deer to the next county, but then I can't even come kill their pigs for free during the off season. It's the weirdest thing. It's weird. So I don't. You would think I would have unlimited access, but I've got enough stuff to keep me busy for sure. But you would think I could run from within 2 hours of me anywhere I wanted, as many places that I've tracked deer on and found deer on. But something about the hog dog stigma, man. It's something, I don't know if it's prior guys that have ruined the reputation, and they think that all hog doggers are trespassing people or whatever it is. But it's wild, man. It's like you bring up pig dogs, and it's like you won't even get a reply.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, at all. That's it.
That literally will not reply. And I just found a deer for his boy like a month prior.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I'm like, hell, I thought I'd done good. I figured I'd, let me come catch a pig. I'm doing you a favor there too.
Oh yeah.
But
it's weird how that it is extremely weird how that works. We're not, like we don't blood track like you do. Like we're not the professional mode of it. We're we mess around with it, and we've got a few dogs that do pretty good here and there. But even at that rate, people know us here. But like, there's not a lot of hog hunters where we live. There's getting to be, a few here and there. But even at that, they know who we are and they know what we do. If they have wild hogs on their property, they will call somebody from Texas to come trap these hogs. I'm dead serious, dude. The hunting club that's beside ours, there's like 3 or 4 clubs that's all together, and me and a couple other guys, all of us have a lease apiece, right? Or me and Nate, and then Dacry and them, and then Pineapple and them, they have them. But none of us will ever get called to catch a hog. They will hire somebody from out of state to come.
Damn.
Dude, I'm talking about. I'm dead ass serious. And I'm like,
yeah.
And none of us have ever done anything like to them, We don't trespass.
I don't know. They get weird. They think because we haven't had hogs for 200 years that nobody knows. I don't know. I guess everybody here is like, we got it. Like the pigs or Texas.
Yeah, they think we don't know anything.
Yeah, like I don't know. People are weird.
Which I don't really know much.
I'd like to think I know something, but I don't know everything.
Well,
A little bit of this.
I know Rusty. I know Rusty Mashore, and I know Uncle Pat, so
No.
they can kiss it.
They can at least tell you something.
Yes.
Got some consultants.
Yes, and now
You got it. You know a guy.
Well, now I know Ricky. Now I know the Lite Hound guy with them damn hog dogs, bro. Now I'm climbing up the ladder. My circle is expanding.
You're barking up the wrong tree if you're asking me advice for hog dogs.
I'm gonna wait till you get some. I mean, like a whole yard full of all them good dogs. I'm gonna be like, hey man, I need a good dog. You know,
I'm telling you what, I've got some good puppies. Other dogs too that I've somehow acquired over the last 6 months. But I've got 2 other dogs I'm really excited about, and they're hound cross type dogs, and I really don't know if I want to deer track them or pig hunt them. Honestly, I've got one that I started this past year, and she was 5 months old at the end of season, like up here. That remember we talked about the MLD stuff. Well, season ends January 1st for everybody else, but if you've got an MLD property, don't end until the February 28th or 27th, whatever the end of February is. Yeah. So, she is actually. I remember if I told you that Huck was infertile or whatever, and obviously can't get nothing out of him. Well, I was lucky enough to get a puppy out of his brother. Oh. And he bred the brother to another hog dog. It's like a leopard cur type dog. And anyways, so I've got her. So I've got the bloodline back at the house, thank God, or part of it at least. And I took her out. It was in February. I shot a deer, and my dad shot a deer. And same morning, and she'd never seen it. I mean, she'd seen some deer. I'd hauled her this year just in the front seat. You know, she was 3-4 months old getting in a season. So I'd hauled her around just to check and, just to have her, just to be personalized and socializing her and stuff. So she had never seen a live deer. Well, both these suckers were alive when we got to them. And the first one, we ran down I didn't even have Huck there. I've got another one in between that I'm training right now. And he had ran it down and had it bayed. And I just had that little puppy with me. And I was like, well, I'll just walk in there with her, to the bay and see what she does. Well, we walk in there and Cuff, the other dog's got it bayed, and she's looking and she starts barking. I'm like, hell yeah, she's actually showing interest, So got that deer finished off, whatever, went down there, chewed on it, drug it out of there, and she was, all about it. And I was like, well, that's a good start, 5 months old. Heck, I'm happy with that.
Yes. Well,
we went over to my dad, and my dad's like, I think I might have hit him a little back. It's like, like how far back? Like how long do we need to wait? Anyways, he's like, I think he was middle. And I said, all right, maybe he got liver. And of course, it was with a rifle, so I wasn't too terribly worried. Well, we went down, and once again, I had her on the ground, and I didn't even have a collar on her. I just figured she's going to walk with me or whatever. Well, Cuff is leading the trail, and I'm about 40 yards behind him, and we get 100 yards from where he shot it, and that deer blows out. I see him running, dog takes off, whatever. Well, I just forgot about the puppy. I was in freaking go catch a deer mode. Well, they probably went 400 yards, and Cuff had him bait, that one bait up. Well, I'm traipsing through the woods. I'm excited because this other dog is doing his job too, and he's been kind of intermittent. So, and he just did it twice on 2 live deer. So I'm pretty ecstatic at that point. Well, hell, no more than I get up over the creek bank and look down, and she is there, bayed solid with him. And she had rolled 400 on her own, and I'm telling you, she's like 25-pound dog. I mean, I know that's nothing. Y'all are used to having those other dogs, but like, I'm not used to having a small dog, and hell, she rolled out and was bayed solid with him. And I was like, just blew my mind, For me, I haven't been real fortunate with dogs that just come out the womb killing shit and tracking shit. I've always had to work pretty hard, and so that was. I'm really excited about her, and I'm also excited because she's got the same blood as my hug dog. So she's pretty special to me right now, and I'm really excited about deer season, this coming deer season.
Oh, I bet. I mean, that looks very, or sounds very, very promising. When you got them that's doing like that at that young age.
Yeah, and like I said, I've never had that. I've had one dog that's done it, and that's Huck.
Yeah.
I've ran through 5 or 6 others that haven't done it.
Gotcha.
So I don't have very optimistic thoughts whenever I'm starting these dogs most of the time.
Yeah, just like
I'm just like low expectations here, and we'll if something happens, by God, it's a miracle kind of deal.
That was our thing for a long time on the job. My uncle told me, like, this is kind of me. He said, well, I don't expect a whole lot. I was like, well, okay, well, that's good. He was like, well, from y'all. I was like, well, okay. He said, y'all slogan is low expectations yield high regards. He said, that way, right. If you do just a little bit of something that's good, he said, I'm ecstatic. I was like, well, yeah, that's okay. Sounds good.
That's my whole thought process with deer tracking dogs. I mean, and well, any dog at this point, but mainly them, because that's what I've been working so hard on for the last 10 years or so. And it's just, I was just so happy to see that happen. And the other dog that he turned 2, he just turned 2. So he's about a little less than 2 years old at the end of the season there. And, so he was kind of clicking, things are coming together. And then just for this puppy to come out of the freaking nowhere and to do it, I was like, holy crap. Yeah. I was super ecstatic. So I'm really excited to see what them two, I think I'm going to run them together next year. On the easier stuff. Huck's 8 and he acts like he's 4 years old. Like his health is there. He looks older than shit, but, he don't act it. He gets out of the box and zooms around the field, and you know what I mean. Like he looks old, but he acts young, and so I still feel like I got a few good years out of him still. But I think I'm gonna. And he's also terrible at training other dogs. He's kind of an asshole, and I mean he's a one-man show, and he's always been like that. And it's taken me up until this year to notice it. Like I don't know why or how I haven't noticed this in the last freaking 8 years, because I've always got another dog below him training. And I swear he will purposely lead that dog off of a trail and then go back to the trail and then get out ahead. And it's like, and it took me up until this year. He did it to this plot dog that I got. And one day I was watching the Garmin and they're 300 or 400 yards ahead. And I'm like, well, I'll get up there. And he makes this big ass loop, dumps her at a creek, and runs back to the spot where he left, and then got down the trail and started going straight again. And I was like, did he really just do that? And I ain't shitting you. He did it twice on that same track. And I was like, this is probably why I ain't got no dogs that are worth a shit behind him, because he's been screwing them up.
He's like, he's taking care of that. He's like, ain't nobody taking my spot.
I'm serious.
They're trying to find my deer.
Exactly. So no more. I'm not running any more damn dogs with him. He's whatever, which is fine. You don't need any help and whatever. So I'm gonna run them other 2 dogs on my gut shots and my stuff that I think feel pretty confident about, and then I'll have Huck dog there for the trampled and jumped and pot liquor neighbor dog post tracks that I got to come follow up and clean up on. So
now you said that you always try to keep one coming up behind your main dogs. I mean, how important is that? I mean, do you always keep one coming up behind it? You always have another dog you're training?
I have ever since for my career doing dog and stuff. I had 2 dogs before Hawk, and it was like one was kind of doing it, and then I got another one, and he was worthless as all get out. And then I got Huck, got rid of the first one, kept Huck, and then ever since then, every year I get a dog and start. Like, I mean, and I've just every year that I've had them, I've had a dog that I've started and got rid of. So, and I had one for 3 years, she was also she was Kim. She was out of the brother dog that I got this other puppy from. So I really wanted her to work, and she was really pretty dog. And I kept her for 3 freaking seasons, man, trying.
Man.
And then one day I put her on one, and I watched her watch a deer run off that was mortally wounded, like he was boogered up. And I was like, that's it. I'm not waiting anymore. I don't care if the dog is her freaking blood relative. I am done. And so I got rid of her. But yeah, I think it's important. Now like I said, I've been fortunate to keep him pretty healthy. But I've got friends and buddies that, you have a jam up dog, and then all it takes is one road to cross, or one deer to hook you good, and you're screwed. And in my world, like I'm so busy during season. I would probably have to go and pay a stupid, ungodly amount of money to get another dog finished, like to start immediately, because if it were to happen during season, I would be screwed, man. So I've always got another dog training, and at least I'm trying, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah. I'm a firm believer in that. And I've had other guys that we've hunted with, and they're like, man, they don't want to mess with puppies or young dogs. And it always seems like, they'll have those dogs for 5, 6, 7 years. And then when something happens, it's a snowball effect. It's like, man, they start, like, it might be dog gets sick, dies, or dog gets in a bad spot, gets cut down, or gets run over. It could be like you said, anything. And then they're pretty much left out to dry. They might have one old dog. Well, they could have already been going through the process. Like you said, they don't have to have 20 dogs, but they could get 1 or 2 pups and put with the old dogs and just see which ones are going to start working out, and continually, try to keep something coming up behind the other ones. I feel like it's a super important thing to do. I'm not saying go out and buy 25 dogs, but like I had the first time we ever got in a real bad one, like cut down bad, I had, 7 dogs total that went in. I brought 5 out that were not alive. And
oh my God.
The other one died 2 days later. And then my wife accidentally ran over my last finished dog. Like this was all within 2 weeks. So I had literally not a damn dog at all. And all I had was thank God I had a couple of pups, but they didn't know anything. Like they were puppies. And I had to start over. Every one of those dogs, the youngest dog in that pack was 5 and the oldest one was 9.
Oh man.
Yeah. And so after that, I was like, I had so many older guys tell me, I was like, boy, you better throw some young blood in there.
Mm-hmm.
And I was too busy catching hogs, man. I was being cool.
And it is hard. It's like when I pull up and I pull Huck out of the box, like I'll know what's going to happen, and it also has made it's also hard to start these other dogs and give them as much like forgiveness. So say like I pull up and I'm like, I'm gonna try the young dog on this track, and if we make it 200 yards in and he starts having trouble, well, I just go back and get Huck and put him on, and I know he'll finish the job.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when you've always got that dog in the box, it makes it harder to stick with that dog, like I stuck with Huck when he was a young dog.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever he had trouble, I didn't have another dog to rely on, so we just worked it out.
Yeah.
And I think that's made it. I think that's it's rendered me a little bit, because it's real hard, and especially when if somebody's paying me to find their deer, like I can't be out there jacking around with a dog that can't do the job when he's paying me for Huck. You know what I mean? So it's hard to do, and but I think this 2-year-old dog, if I didn't have Huck, I bet he'd be pretty damn close to being finished right now, be doing it pretty well enough where I could trust him. But I haven't been able to do that, and it's like I said, it's hard to do one and not the other. So.
Oh, I know. Roddy used to get aggravated with me all the time I'd show up and I'd have 3 or 4 dogs that he had never even seen. Well, why didn't you bring Bella? I'm like, for what? Or why didn't you bring King? I'm like, for what?
I know what they can do.
I know what they can do, you know.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he's doing the same thing. I'm not saying that I taught him none of that. He sees the importance of, like, these dogs don't live forever, even if it's old age. Eventually, if you're going to keep doing it, you've got to have something else. You've got to have the next one. And it is hard, though, like you said, man, especially if you know, like you got a client coming, you got to pull out the heat, you know? You don't want to pull out that lunatic that's going to go out there and act a fool.
Yeah, he may or may not do it, but he also might buy up a pig.
Yeah, I got a few of them.
Yeah, I've been there, done that. But yeah, it makes it more difficult to just hone in on that one dog at times. And I tried to. There was a couple tracks this year that I tried the younger this 2-year-old dog, and there was one in particular it was on a public land place, and I didn't really want to take the track, but it was one of those deals, whatever. The guy really was persistent on getting me out, and I went and wasn't real sure on the shot. I think he was shot with a shotgun, this public place I'm talking about is archery during archery season, or it's archery through the whole deer season, but then they've got a muzzle loader shotgun type deal, which muzzle loader shotgun over here is not a thing really. Like, it's either bow or rifle for the most part. So the fact that they let you run and I think you can, I don't even know that you can use a slug. I may be wrong. You might, I don't know. Either way, you can use a shotgun and a muzzleloader during a certain time. So anyways, went over there and the deer went 300-400 yards and then crossed over to some private property. And then we had to wait around and get some permission. And the dog was going, but he'd always go about 150 yards and he'd turn around and come back. And I'm like, and it's the same thing. Huck had done the similar stuff whenever he was younger. So I was like, well, I'll look on the Garmin and go where he went 150 yards, and then I'll walk up there, and then he'd go another 150 yards. So I was like, oh, that's fine. We can keep doing this. Well, then I got going across some weird terrain. We were out in a wide open hay pasture, and I was like, this seems fucking weird. Why would this deer go this way? You know what I mean? And I'm like, but I'm so far from the truck at this point that I'm not turning around to go get Huck. So I was like, we're here, we're riding or dying, we're doing it. You know, we're gonna figure this shit out. I don't care if it takes me all day. So he had taken us probably, I don't know, 700 yards, and there was 2 little clumps of trees kind of throughout this big hay meadow, and got to the second one, and he moseyed down in there, and a bunch of deer busted out of there, does and shit running everywhere. And I'm like, is this Joker? Because mind you, I hadn't seen blood in 500 yards. I don't know what, like, I don't have anything to keep us honest at this point. I'm just trying to trust him. And we got in there, and those does blew out, and this is a small piece, maybe I don't know, maybe an acre of just super thick, briar-filled, just oak trees. And, you know, it was like they had made the rest of the place hay pasture, but they weren't tackling this spot. It was kind of below a pond, so it was kind of a runoff from a pond, and it was just thick as shit. Well, we walked through and walked around it. He kind of went a little bit in there, and I was like, and nothing. So we went past it, and it kind of opened up again for a long, long ways, and he just wasn't doing anything. And I'm like, man, I wonder if those deer were in there and that other one's still in there. Like, I don't know. It just made me think, because he wasn't pulling on the track any further. So I went back and I was like, you know what? I don't care if I have to get on my hands and knees and crawl through this little acre. It's an acre. We'll cover this sumbitch. And sure enough, I got on there, and me and him just started crawling and jumping and going through all this stuff, and walked right up on this deer. And he was in there, and he was leg shot. The guy had blown his front leg off.
Damn.
And fortunately enough, the dog was behind me. Like, I saw the deer before the dog did. And I'm looking at him, and he's working his way through the briars. And I look at that deer, and I'm like, I had not just go a mile total. By the end of it, it was close to a mile. Like, I'm shooting this sucker. I wanted him to go over there and bay the deer.
Yeah.
And I wanted to see that, but I also knew that deer could go another 3 miles or some shit.
Yeah, it's like, you ain't crawling that damn far for nothing.
No, I was like, I didn't do all this for nothing. So I put the deer down, and sure enough, he had a big broke leg and whatever. But it was one of those deals. Had I been 200 yards from the truck, I'd have put that son of a bitch up, and I would have went and got hooked, but I didn't.
Yeah.
And it was good. It helped me build confidence with him, and I think it was built confidence for him too. Mind you, he didn't exactly find the sucker, but he did take us to the last spot. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's like you said, that accounts for a lot. It's you seen some promise there.
Yeah, and the deer tracking deal for me is there's a lot of the dog is 95% of the work. There are 5% of it is knowing what your dog, like reading your dog, and then also knowing deer behavior kind of stuff. Like, and then being able to like deduct on like how we got to that spot. And I was ready to end the track and go home. And but I was like, you know what? It just don't make sense. Why would we get to this point and not go any further? I was like, that's something's got to be in there,
Mm-hmm.
And had I not thought about that, we would have literally walked right by that deer and went back to the truck without him,
Yeah.
And there's about 5% of the deer tracking deal that you can help that dog finish to seal the deal, and it doesn't like I said, don't happen very often, but occasionally I got to put on my thinking cap and my Indian skills and try to advance a track or finish it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And there's, I don't see anything wrong with that. It's like,
that's your job as the handler.
Well, sure. But you'll hear some guys talk trash, like on the hog hunting side of it. It's like you ride around, look for a track, turn the dog out, or look for some fresh sign or all that. That's, that's what we like to do. But there's some that are purists, and they're like, okay, we're going to pull up here and we're just going to turn the dogs loose, and they got to go find a hog. And hey, that works
they ain't
too.
Moving until it's paid. I mean, think about that buck, that first bow season buck that Louis trailed over there.
Mm-hmm.
Louis went over there and stood by the deer and licked on it for like over a minute, and then he just like looked at us, but we couldn't see the deer because it was like in so much brush. And I was looking for blood. I started to correct him. Yeah, and Dad was going to correct him.
I was like, no, something's up.
And then he walked over there and see if Dad would have just been like, oh, he's over here just piddle dicking around,
He just kept standing there. Look, he didn't bark. He didn't do nothing. He just kind of was just sitting there. And like you said, it was like, wait a minute. Let me go over here and look and see the dog. Trusting that dog. Well, the next one, we go, we get out, and we start walking the creek. Like, he carried us to the last place and he kept going to that spot. And I was like, well, that deer's here somewhere. And the guy kept saying, he went this other way. He went this other way. I was like, look, I understand that. We reset the dog 3 times. I said, he's came right here. All right. So I told Nate, I was like, look, we're going to find this somebody. Just like you just said, we're going to find this somewhere. So we crossed,
somehow, some way.
That's right. So we crossed the creek. We go down about 400 yards from where we'd walked in, and we start easing up the creek. And sure enough, old Louis goes on up the creek 400 more yards to where he was on the opposite side of the creek to begin with. And he picks up track, goes 75 yards, finds a deer, starts barking. It's like he's right there. So, we didn't go find the deer for him, but we got him in the right spot. Because like once it got to the creek, like, he had never even been faced with one crossing water before. He had pretty easy tracks. Yep. But we went back. I said, look, let's follow this back track. We followed the blood trail, and it was exactly on the Garmin. The whole time he was down there, he was making them little circles there. I was like, well, he lost it there or something, And you could see blood on the rock. That was the first blood was on that rock on one side of the creek. So like you said, trying to give him a little help. I just don't see nothing wrong with that, a younger dog.
Especially on the deer track and stuff.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's, I don't know. I guess everybody to each his own, but like I know some guys, they're not going to they ain't gonna help their dogs at all. They're just gonna kick them out in Walmart and and
see you on
see you
see you
later,
when I
boys.
see you.
Yeah, it's like you better have something or you're getting cold.
Well, that's cool with the finished dog. I mean, and like I said, I've never had a dog that just came out the womb doing it, and maybe
Yeah.
one day I'll get a dog like that. But until then, it's like I'm gonna be there, and if I can assist, so say I assist him on that deer that day, and then three or four more like that are longer tracks, that are harder tracks, that are he's ready to give up because he just doesn't have that confidence yet.
Mm-hmm.
But if I can get up there and figure something out and push him another 200 yards, and then we find the deer, I don't know how the hell that doesn't help a dog. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? In the long run. So, and I learned that with Huck. That was one of the deals. Whenever he was getting started, he would do the 200 come back, 200 come back, and then finally one day I was like, well, gosh damn! I mean, he went that 200 for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And it took me going up there and I mean, I had to hold his hand a little bit. But, at the end of the day, now I don't got to hold nothing. I could sit in the pickup and crack a cold beer and dump him on a feeder, and he's going to go find it. And
Yeah.
I could drive to him if I had, wanted to now.
Mm-hmm.
But at the beginning, it ain't like that for me.
Well, and I think there's, in all honesty, I think there's a lot of people that probably would have a dog that's a better caliber if they would do that, instead of just continually just letting that dog hang up. And they're like, I'm not
And then
walking
quitting.
out there. Yeah, he's quitting. And then they wind up moving on or culling the dog or giving him away to somebody else. And, and then that dog becomes really good. And a lot of times they attribute it to, mental maturity. They're like, oh, that dog is mature. Well, it was 3 years old when you had it. Seems like it should have been pretty mature then,
Yeah.
I don't think it's the maturity of the dog that we're really looking at.
Yeah.
I don't mean that
That's
in a bad
something
way.
I've learned. No, and I mean I've probably well the dogs that didn't make it, I probably been the reason why they didn't make it. I mean, it's taken a long time for me to kind of figure that aspect of it out, which is good because it's rolling me into the hog dog stuff where I'm not as uh particular. Like if they don't find a pig one day and it's just us, like I don't get mad. Like I mean, there might have been a pig we walked right by, but at the end of the day, like I don't know if he was or wasn't there. Hell, there might not have been a pig within 100 miles of there, for all
Yep.
I know. And I'm not going to get mad. It's like that low expectations every time I got high expectations when I go deer tracking. Don't get me wrong, but I
Yeah.
got low expectations with the hog dog stuff right now. And whenever we do pull one off, it's like, well, hell yeah, we done
Doing
something,
good, yeah.
Yeah. So
That's now with the hog dogs. I mean, you enjoy doing it. Like I said, I've seen on social media and stuff. Where you've been on quite a few hogs and stuff like that. Have you? Do you take care of those dogs any differently? Like, I mean, just like keeping them legged up, or do you feed them different dog food? Do you take care of them differently as far as medications and stuff like that, or you do all of them about the same?
The only difference I've noticed is having to doctor dogs way more often
Yeah.
with the deer dog. Now, he's pretty loose, so he stays pretty healthy. Haven't had just to do a whole lot of doctoring, but in the last since February, I've put more staples in dogs than I have in the last 10 years.
Okay, I got you.
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
just so I have that has been the biggest difference to me is like how rarely do we leave the woods without putting staples in something or,
Yeah.
something, you know what I mean? So that's been the only real difference. As far as everything else goes, it's pretty similar. Now, the deer dog, I mean, like you only get 3 or 4 months a year to do it. So trying to keep a dog legged up the rest of the year for me is not going to be it's not possible. Like the deer dogs hang out at the house during the off season. I'm not going to go. You could put a freaking fake trail out, yeah, but I mean that doesn't keep a dog legged up.
No.
Cold, blood trail in a 500-yard track, like that don't do anything. I'll usually try to touch them up, in September. I'll take them to the lease and just make them run around, ride the Can-Am across the property and stuff like that. But as far as that goes, I mean, I don't think it's a whole lot of different. I get to hunt probably once a week right now with the kids and work and keeping mama from strangling me.
Yeah.
We had a come to Jesus meeting in February whenever I came home with one dog and then two dogs and then four dogs and then now I've got nine dogs now. And she's she's pretty close to
I think it sounds like
strangling me.
you're doing good, but at the same time, how long can this go on? That's
Yeah, I know it, and she's on me. But my deal is I'd like to have something to run the kids on after deer season.
Yeah.
I'll take one or two on during the deer tracks, here and there, especially when I can't find anybody to watch them. I mean, I got to go, so we go. But the deal with the hog dogs, like, well, I mean, because I had considered getting coon dogs at one point, like last year about this time, and I was like, man, I'd like to do that, but then, hell, that's not time only for them, as far as I know. And so I was like, man, that just don't sound. I can't do that with the kids. That won't work. So that's why I went head over heels with the hog dogs, and I enjoy it a lot more than I would, I think, treeing a coon. I think. So, who knows what's going to come of it? I'd like to run them for a while. If I get a change of heart, I do. But right now, it's like I'm head over heels on it right now. So,
well, that means you're doing it right. I mean, if you're having a good time, you're happy, and you're not in a bad mood, pissing and moaning, spitting and stomping, then I mean you're doing great. That's I think we lose touch with a lot of that the longer we do it. Some of not everybody, but some of us, like, I mean, we get too involved and let it consume you to where it's all about catching this hog or something. And I like that. I hit that stride years ago, and it was like, man, I just had to step back. It's like, dude, like, this ain't even fun. And I know it's fun. It's, but when you, and it wasn't just that, it was me. I was making it where it wasn't fun for anybody else.
Right. Because you're so worked up and you're wanting your dogs to be perfect. And,
yes.
Now, I can see that.
It got where it was just plumb stressful. And it's finally just had to, take a step back and be like, well, there's not hogs in every place that we go to. Believe it or not, even if I walk 86 damn miles that day, like Nate said something, I think it was last year when we went down there with John Burt.
Yeah.
The dogs went out. Now this was different. I had to take it for myself a little bit because like we knew there were hogs there. Had been on camera. And dude, those dogs, they looked like shit. It was horrible. And Nate was laughing. He told him, he was like, well, he's fixing to go. And they're like, what do you mean? And he was like, he's fixing to start walking. And if he starts walking, like, I feel bad for everybody, all them dogs. It's like, we're going to find the hog, boys. And if I got to find it, some of y'all ain't making the trip home.
Yeah, I was about to say, not everybody's making it home.
It's going to be a bad damn day. But I was walking, and I made it about a mile, and I got to a spot, and the river closed down to where it was only probably no more than 20 foot across. There's a big sandbar ran all the way out, and it literally looked like somebody went through there with a tiller. I said, well, the hogs aren't here, boys. I know where they're at, though. And we literally drove right around. It took about, I don't know, I think it was 10, 12 miles. We had to go down, hit a bridge, come around. We pulled up, and the man told us, he said, I've got a few hundred acres on this side, and he said, sometimes they'll be down in this field. Nothing's planted. It's just grown up. And we didn't go 100 yards and had the first one. I was like, now we're talking. Now we're figuring it out. But if I hadn't have got out and walked, and I wouldn't have known that either, I would have just been like, well, there ain't no hogs here. Or I'd have been mad at my dogs.
Right.
So it was.
You gotta help. You gotta set them up for success sometimes.
Yeah, like sometimes I had to go find the damn hog for them.
Go get it jumped up.
Yeah.
Sight run.
Gotta pat them on the ass here or there.
That's it.
Yeah.
Be like, come on, boys. I know y'all got it. Let's go.
I've seen a bunch of palmettos busted and little pigs run out and a puppy literally thrown right behind them. And
Oh, yeah.
sometimes that's all it takes. It's just that
Yep.
one,
Uh-huh.
like, hey, this is what we're out here doing. We are, in fact, getting these pigs.
I've also seen where puppies were out there running around and the pig runs over them and the puppy's jumping around looking like, what the hell was that?
What's going
Yeah,
on?
they'll go get back under the truck. And I'm like, you need a little more time, buddy.
Uh-huh.
So it's, I mean, it sounds like you got in it pretty good. You ain't had to do a whole lot of like puppy training. So, we're talking about puppies right now. So you haven't had to do that part of it yet with the hog dogs, right?
Right. Like I said, I had this preconceived notion last year, and that's why I'd gotten that cur puppy. And I was like, hell, worst case scenario, I'll put her on deer or whatever and try her on deer. But I had already planned that ahead. And then, so that plot dog, I had gotten her middle of deer season. I was just trying to bring something in and get going with Huck and the other dog. I couldn't put them together. So that Huck dog and Cuff, which is this 2-year-old, they don't get along. Like I can't even put them near each other. Like I had to break them up. I don't know if you remember, but I sent you a picture of my arm.
Oh,
Like,
yeah. I
they got into
remember.
a fight, and it's like, so I can't even. I mean, I put them in the same dog box, right? If it's separated, and I can go dump them at a time. But man, it's a pain in the ass. So I had picked up that plot dog for my buddy. He had. So this fellow, he had a dog that was one of those Louis type dogs. So he had this, whatever they are, plot. They're a lot more plot than they're anything else. And if he dumped it on a squirrel, if he dumped it on a pig, if he dumped it on a deer, that's what he's going on. Hell, he found elk with the sumbitch. Like he could do whatever he asked of him.
Mhm.
And he was like 4 or 5 years old, just up and died. Well, he was tracking deer at the time, and so he was out of pocket. We talk about having puppies coming up behind. He didn't have anything coming up behind. And so last year he had a dog going, and I was trying to help him. And he was like, man, this is never going to happen to me again. I'm going to have, 10 puppies at the house. Well, he
Yeah.
bred a dog or whatever. So he had literally kept the whole litter. And midway through the year, he's like, man, why don't you try this dog on the deer? You can run her. She's a female, so Huck won't be an asshole to her. So I'd picked her up in like in the middle of November and ran her on the deer. But anyways, we got lucky that she turned into something else. So she's not going to be a deer tracking dog, but I don't think we've switched gears. But
Yeah.
it was, well, I don't know. It was just one of those random occurrences where I got a 1-year-old dog and not a puppy,
Mm-hmm.
So I was able to, she was we already knew she had the game. I've just been trying to direct her path a little bit now. But I got, basically a 2-year-old. I guess she's 2. Well, she might not even be 2 years old yet. But so I got the 1-year-old cur and the 2-year-old, and then I both started them as, like, I didn't do anything with the cur dog at all. I'd shown her like a pig litter too, and honest to God, she didn't want nothing to do with them.
Yeah.
At like 4 or 5 months old. So I just kind of was like, I'm going to let her get, 10, 12 months old before I go trying with her. And that kind of happened in January, February. And that's when I got her started with my buddy's dogs. So yeah, no intense puppy stuff. But I will say that I sent you that video of that little dogo Donovan.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of those deals. I don't know any better. Hell, every catch dog puppy may do this, but she's 16 weeks old and had a little piglet get caught in my feeder pen at the deer lease. Got in, but couldn't figure out how to get out. And I had woke up that morning and I seen it on there, and I'm like, oh, that son of a bitch will get out. Well, about an hour later, I'm like, boys, get in the truck.
Yeah.
And we hauled ass. And of course, we got over there, and Yeah, the little piglet's still in the pen. So I'm like, all right, I just want to see what this dog will do. I just want to introduce her, see what happens. And, if she don't do anything, it ain't going to hurt my feelings. Like I said, low expectations. And, hell, that pig ran around a couple circles and then it ran at me and I kind of kicked it in the head because it was charging me. Boy, it made one squeak. And the next thing I know, I look over and she's got ear. And I'm like, holy shit. Like, she didn't bark. She didn't do nothing. I didn't like lead her in or anything. Like, she just grabbed a hold and commenced to stay in a hold.
Yes,
So,
sir.
so I'm pretty excited about her. I hope she's, I mean, obviously she's got the kind of the natural ability there. We'll see what happens with her. Like I said, this will be the first catch dog that I've ever started or, had as a puppy. So,
Sounds like you
I
got
feel like it's a pretty good start.
something good to start with there for sure. We
Yeah.
I've seen it to where there's some that they didn't want to start till they were not 13 or 16 weeks old, but 16 months old. And for catch dogs, man, that just seems like an eternity. Most people they're like, man, I'm not, if they're not already doing it at 8 months or 10 months old, blah blah blah. I'm like, well, you'll let a cur dog do that. You'll let a cur dog wait till it's 16 months old. So
you will for sure.
And I've seen it both ways. I've seen it to where you've had a bulldog that was a little older, that from somebody I knew, and their dog didn't start up good till it was over a year old, and it wound up being a good dog. I mean, a solid dog, nothing wrong with it. I've also seen it to where, like, they didn't really turn out that well. I've seen it where they fired up when they were, like you said, weeks old, just babies. And then by the time they were 2 years old, they were played out.
Really?
Yeah, I've seen it both ways, No,
played out like they got burnout on it?
Yeah, we had a dog named Shortcut, and at 18 months old, at 6 months old, this is no joke, this dog was a phenom, like unreal. At a year old, there wasn't a 10-year-old dog that could touch him. This dude was a bad son of a bitch, and I mean, like, he just
This was a bay dog or a catch dog?
No, this is a catch dog. Like this is, and he was like we used him more of a running catch dog, but like we let him in, we did all of it. Like he would go find his own hog, he'd do whatever.
Dog.
He was a dog. And then, dude, it was like when he hit 16, 18 months old, he just quit. Like he didn't.
Did he get cut down or anything?
No, like it was nothing no more than any normal stuff. Like he literally would rather just not do anything. and that's what happened, Of course,
now you're worrying me.
Well, no, I'm just saying that's the only one out of all the ones that I've personally had over the years. That's the only one I ever seen like that, and I still don't know what happened. Like this dog was
that is weird,
crazy. He was so good, and then it was just. But now he swapped handlers, and I think that's where something happened because, when he was young. Him had him, and then somebody else got him for, I don't know, I think 6 or 8 months, and then I wound up with him back, and it was just like he just didn't want to do nothing.
Yeah,
I think that might have had more. That's what I said. That was the only dog that I'd ever seen do that I personally had been around.
It went down.
Yeah. That was a pit.
Right.
Now I've seen other dogs, like you said, like especially like bay dogs. I've seen them to where they start really young and then they kind of peter out, or they'll only get so good and that's it. And then I've seen them where they started later and they just kept getting better and better and better.
Yeah.
And just absolutely made an absolute stud of a dog in the end, But I guess I guess that's everything, You got good and bad, but
you never know what you're gonna get.
Yeah. With the cur dogs, the ones that we've had, it seemed like they, I don't know. It's just wasn't a lot of consistency out of all the ones that we've had. You would have some that started at 6 months. You'd have some that started at 12 months. You'd have some that were top hands at a year and a half old. You have some that they were 3 or 4 years old before they really started turning on real good. It just, I don't know. And I've only had I've had a few different lines of dogs from other people. So that's why we started breeding, kind of making our own line of dogs out of these cur dogs. Just a bunch of mixed bred mutts.
Yeah, buddy. Methodically bred mutt, what I call it.
Yes. But we had 2 litters. We sent the first ones out. And I just made a post a little earlier of some that one's 8 months, I think 8, no, it was 9 months or something like that.
One's 8, one should be about.
And they
10.
found and made their first ones. We've got 4 or 5 of them.
One's born September 6th, the brindle dog was, and then the yellow dog was born October 24th or 26th, something like that.
And the brindle pup that's down there, I've got 2 litter mates or 3 litter mates to it, and they've been baying hogs. That's the ones I was talking about that just go out there and bay for 3 or 4 hours at a time by themselves. They just break out and go bay. And I'm serious. Like, they've been doing that since they was 4 or 5 months old. And I ain't really hunted them much at all. The little female, we carried her to Texas with us down there at Cases, and she went in there and got busy. Like, she wasn't shy. So it's like, I don't know if that that doesn't mean all of them are going to turn out like that. And I don't know what the next litter is going to do. So we're hoping for some consistency. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
Is trying to get some consistency out of it.
That's the struggle, I'm sure. And that's I haven't got into making my own dogs yet. I've been relying on others, but now that's why I've kind of also padded the kennels quite a bit. I say quite a bit. I've got 9, but most people probably run way more than that. But I've got, 4, like 5 hound dog variants, and then a couple catch dogs, and then I got a damn chocolate lab. But my thought is like, I should have enough right now that I can do my own thing from here on out. If I'm lucky, if they all do what they want to do, and they seem like dogs that I want to continue with and breed. Like, I'm trying to work to where, like, one day I can give Michael Moore a dog, or I can give the Machado, the guy that's got Huck's brother. Like, I want to be able to give him a dog one day. He's giving me a handful. So I'm working towards that, being able to, breed what I want, and then also be able to help the guys out that have helped me over the years.
That's cool.
Because I haven't really, I haven't been a whole lot of help as far as bringing dogs into the world. So,
which, I mean, that's a good thing, man. That shows you got a lot of respect for it. There's a lot of folks that get them and just start breeding dogs, and like, man, some people don't need to breed some of the dogs. I'm trying to be as nice as I can be, but like, there's some out there. It's like, shit, why did you breed them? Just because it's a male and a female. That's literally why.
Right.
We get offered dogs a lot, and there's some people, man. I'd love to take a pup, and just see what I can do with it. But then there's some where it's like, man, I don't. Especially if it's never, if they ain't never really bred a bunch of dogs up, or they don't have a specific line that they've maintained, or that their dad or granddad or somebody has. It's like, I'm not saying I won't give a F1 a shot from just whoever, because I might, just depends.
That's where I'm at. I'm like, yeah, hell, I'll try.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at. That's
probably where I should still be at, honestly. Because I've had some really good dogs that were given to me.
Yeah, and that's funny. I'll do, like, I got that Dogo Donovan, and a handful of my buddies like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, what even is that? Kind of deal. And I'm like, well, I don't know any better, so I'm gonna try it. Like, I don't know.
Hell yeah.
And the boy, his name's Rendon. I'll mess up his last name, but he's dude. You talk to him, and it's like he's got all the confidence in the world with the dogs, and it's kind of rejuvenating to hear how passionate he was. Like, he was like, man, I am so happy for you that you're getting this dog. And I'm like, what do you, like, you gave me the dog, like, but he was like genuinely happy for me because he was so confident that the dog was going to do. He's like, you're welcome, kind of deal. And I was like, man, if he feels like that, then I can't. I'll be stupid not to at least give it a shot. I mean, what worst case scenario? Here I am with no catch dogs. I don't have any anyway, so hell with it. Why not try? And
Yeah. Shit,
no,
that
it's
makes
been.
me want one now. Like shit.
I know, and I probably shouldn't say his name or say all that shit. We'll see what happens. They may all be duds, but
Yeah.
I want to say the other litter mates are kind of doing along the same lines. Like they've all seen piglets and all have just grabbed ear. So we'll see. I don't know. I talked to another boy the other day that's so having the Lite Hounds page has been a big blessing. Like I know it's cool. Like I post the cool videos or whatever, and I try to sell my merch or whatever. But I've been able to meet a handful of really good dudes, and
Yeah.
best part is hearing some of these stories. Well, one of this guy is he's in North Dakota, and he's got a straight Donovan, and he runs stags, and he does decoy dogging, and then he'll straight up just dump box on coyotes out in the wide open, with the stags. And he's like, dude, he goes, all these dogs are awesome. He said, but that Donovan Pincher dude, he's like, they want to kill. Like there's no, it doesn't matter what you put it on. He's like, they'd have this dire need to kill whatever it is. And I was like, he's like, there's nothing. He's like, he may have never seen a game bred pit bull before, and he doesn't know that there's other things that are, similar natured. But hearing him say that, and I was like, man, fuck it, we'll try it. I know a lot of people have bad thoughts about dogos and all that stuff, but I mean, I know a bunch of people that run dogos, so
Oh yeah.
hell with it. We'll try it.
I had a dogo, and I let a buddy of mine get him. Now, but it was the weirdest thing because he like all his siblings were big. I mean, big monsters. They were so good looking, and mine came out and looked like a 50-pound white pit bull. I'm dead, dude. I'm dead serious. His name was Vice. He looked like a game dog and was a bad motherfucker. I'm talking about he was gamey, gamey.
But he looked just like a solid white pit bull.
Yeah, and I was like, I wanted a big dog. I wanted to get one to try. I was like, damn, I can't get one even if I try. I don't know why he was so small. But like you said, you hear so much shit about the dogos. I've never had any, so I can't make a lot of assumptions. Uh-oh. We lose you? It's still showing we're clicking.
Uh-oh.
Are you there?
How about now?
I got you. You. Okay.
I don't know how that mute button fit in my pocket.
There you go. I didn't know. Well, I was talking about that dogo. It was like he was just tiny. He was like 50 pounds, maybe 52. And I wanted a big dog, but it just wasn't in the stars for me. I've just never had a lot of dealings with very many dogos.
Yeah, and that's why I was saying, like, the beauty of where I'm at in my life of running dogs is I don't know any different or any better or any worse, so I'm just at the point where I'm gonna try.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, you know what I mean? So if shit, I can't say dogos suck or Donovan suck or pit bulls don't got enough leg or whatever shit. I don't know. I've never done it, so hell, I'm gonna find out though.
Yeah, that's I definitely understand that part. I was the same way. I was like, I don't care. Like, it didn't make a shit to me. I pulled up with them little Yog Terriers, and people were like, you can't catch hogs with those. I was like, well, they do. Like, I catch them all the time. Like, I don't know any better. Like, it's the same thing. Showed up with the Deutsch Strathars. Couldn't tell you how many different breeds of bird dogs, all kinds of running dogs, all kinds of hounds. Like, you'd be surprised at how many different breeds I've had. People are like, what the fuck? I'm like, somebody offered it to me, so I just took it, and that's what we did.
That's where I'm at. I'll try anything. Hell, I don't care. I mean, If I could pick, I'd have every dog look just like Huck for the rest of my life.
There
If
you
I
go.
could pick hog dogs and bay dogs, I would pick that every day.
Hell
But
yeah.
at the end of the day, I don't. I mean, if they do their job, then I can't really be a whole too mad about it. I've got the plot dog has also kind of a stigma about him, and I mean, from what that dog that I've got show me, I mean, other than the freaking open on the track stuff, like she's got just as much heart, just as much nose and hunt than any dog I've had. So,
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
I like her. I don't know.
Well, ain't nothing wrong with that. I mean, if like you said, if they're doing their job, I don't give a damn what kind of dog it is. If it works for me and I like it, then that's what I'm going to feed. You know.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. I don't care what they look like.
I think that's a good
But
place to be.
I'm gonna switch subjects on you because
Lay
we
it out.
finally did it this year.
Come on
I
with it.
broke the 200. I broke the 200
Oh, you
inch
did?
rule of the broke. I found one over 200 this year.
Sweet.
We, Whenever we talked last time, I told you we had a curse.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, 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 we found a 218 this year, and it took about 39 seconds to find him.
Damn.
It was, it was one of those. You were talking earlier about the guy said, well, he went left, and the dog's going right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, we pulled up, and mind you, this was first week of October, hot as shit, and he didn't call me till the next morning, and
Mm.
it's like 10 a.m. and I'm like, we either wait till night and pray that the track stay like freshens up because by the time I get there it's noon and it's 85 and maybe 30% humidity. Um, Anyways, I was like, yeah, okay. He's like, it's a really big deer, and I was like, yeah, okay, like no big deal. Like I'm coming, I mean, I don't,
Mm.
like I said, I don't care if it's a big deer or a small deer, but I didn't realize it was this big. Well, we get there and I'm collar hook up. He jumps off the truck. I'm clearing the old tracks off my Garmin, and I'm hoping he's like draining out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he's gonna do his thing, and the guy's like, here, okay, he went this way. And he's gone this way, and I said, okay, and I'm clearing, and I click the map, and I look down, and he's at the road, which is the opposite direction of where this deer had supposedly went.
Mm.
And I'm having an oh shit moment because he's about to cross the road. So
Mm.
I tone him immediately because I just was like, what's going on? I tone him. He stops, and he's right next to the road, and he's maybe 100 yards away.
Damn.
Well, I walk up out of the creek and I look over and he's at the road in the bar ditch, and I see his head bobbing up and down. And I'm like, that son of a bitch is pulling hair. And
Damn.
we walk up, and this sucker died in the bar ditch. There was like a little patch where the grass hadn't mowed yet.
Damn.
And he's about 7 yards off the fucking highway.
That's crazy.
Deader than shit. And I walk up and I'm like, whoa, you didn't tell me he was this big, because I told you he was big.
Yeah.
I said,
Fuck.
oh my God. And, sure enough, it went like 218 and had double main beam and was just this crazy big deer. And
Yeah,
I
that's
was
wild.
like, we finally broke the curse, and it was the shortest track I've had all year long.
Yeah, that's crazy. Not was it like a main
That's-
highway right there or something?
I mean, it was
Was it
a
private?
farm market. No. It was a 2-lane. It wasn't like we were on a big
Oh.
highway, but it was a real road.
Well,
I
I'm
mean,
just
it
saying
was,
because he's lucky somebody didn't snag that dude up off
well,
the side
that
of the
was the
road.
deal.
Yeah.
That was the deal, is he was in this high grass, and
Wow.
you couldn't see him from the road.
No shit.
Like, it was just enough to where you could not see him. The grass was like literally it was mowed everywhere around this one
Yes.
patch.
Dude, I know
And
rednecks that would beat you to death
oh,
over
dude,
that
I
offside of the
couldn't
road.
freaking believe it. Like, there's no way, if that grass wasn't 6 inches shorter,
Yeah.
that deer would have been scooped up an hour after it happened, because it's in an area where, yeah, I mean, there's folks that'll do it. And it was just funny. I'm like, here I am. I break the 200 mark, and I'm pissed I didn't put a puppy on it. You know what I mean? It was so freaking easy.
Yeah, that
But
would have
you
been
know,
crazy. You find that with a puppy. Yeah,
oh, we could have easily.
yeah.
Hell, I mean, there wasn't any blood on the ground, but he was sure enough gut shot, and the fella didn't really have a whole lot to tell me before I got in there. I kind of just went because it was probably 30 minutes from the house, and I didn't have any tracks that day, so I was like, well, you're it. I'll go help him or whatever, and turned into that deal. So we broke the 200, and the deer didn't go 200, and
That's
and
crazy.
it was just it was one of those. I was puckered up because I mean, I'm hearing cars driving by as he's at the road, you know, and it scared the shit out of me for a second.
Oh,
But
I
no,
bet.
he was just sitting right there chewing the ass out of him.
That's freaking
So
awesome though. So how many
yeah,
did you
I
put
was
on the
pretty
tailgate
pumped.
this year?
I think 55, 50, yeah, 50, 50, somewhere in the mid 50s. I think we tracked right under just shy of 90.
Sweet.
And, and I'm pretty sure I think we probably left 3 or 4 deer in the woods that, you know, were, that they found later or, um, yeah, they found like weeks later or something.
Yeah.
So when we left some deer in the woods, don't get me wrong, we do it every year. But no, I mean, 55 out of 85, and I'm sure 20 of those were back on camera at least. So
We had
pretty good season. Best season I've had, best season we've ever had.
we had one this year that kind of, man, it's still, I don't know. The guy, we went, and Louis went down the hill. There was blood, and it was from the day before. And Louis went down the hill, got it up. You could hear him open and run the deer.
Uh-huh.
The deer goes and makes a loop, gets down there by the creek, and he acted like he lost it. But now he got back on the other side and went like another mile, made another loop and was coming back. Well, when he got to the creek again, that part right there, the creek I'm talking about is probably 50 yards wide and anywhere from 6 to 20 foot deep. It's like a small river.
Oh, it's a
Yeah.
real ass creek. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we asked the guy, we was like, well, you know, do you want to go down there? He was like, I don't know, man. What do you think? I was like, well, the deer could be laying right there in the creek. You know, like Louis winds up coming back shortly. And I was like,
Uh-huh.
well, that deer could have just outran him. It could have been a multitude of things. I said, the way he ran, I said, he almost acts like he wasn't even hurt that bad. You know, I was like, because like
Uh-huh.
he didn't stop and bay up. He opened up when he jumped it. And
How long did he run him whenever after he jumped him? How long did he run
she
before he stopped?
for an hour.
Oh shit.
Oh yeah, it was miles on that
Just
loop.
making loops.
Well, he
Yeah.
didn't even really make many loops. It was like one small loop and then one big loop. All right.
Yeah.
When he came to that deepest part of that creek right there, that's when I was like, well, there's a camp right there. It's a camp.
And some portions of that
whatever.
creek are chest or overhead.
Well, that's what I
high.
told him a while ago. I was like, it's anywhere from 6 to 20
Right.
foot deep in
So
holes.
that thing could have just fell in.
So
there.
when we were in Oklahoma, the guy messaged me. He was like, "Hey, I found that deer." Now, keep in mind, this has done been several weeks, or actually, was it in Oklahoma? Anyway, he finds the deer later on. He goes up there and talks to the director of this camp, and he goes down there and looks. He's like, "Man, it was laid right down there, about right on the edge of the creek."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Dude, I told like we should have went down there." He said, "I think y'all's dog was running something else." I was like,
Bullshit.
that's what I told him. I said, I don't think he was. I was like, he was like, well, man, I'm not trying to argue. He said, I appreciate y'all coming out and all that. I said, I told him, I was like, I just don't think we gave him enough time. I don't think it was that good of a shot that you made, you know?
Well,
And,
how long did y'all wait?
Well, when he says he shot him right before dark, but then he told, like, it was dark when he shot and we went the next morning.
Yeah, and I seen
Oh,
a
yeah,
white
that's
tail
plenty of
when he
time.
jumped it up.
Yeah, Nate seen the actual deer
Because it was like right
jump
on the
up.
point of a ridge coming down the side of the mountain, and there were some small, just little bushes. And I was like, I could just see him in there, and he just started running circles hard.
Yeah.
And then he started going
Yeah.
back and forth. And then
He
all of a
was
sudden,
winding him, yeah.
yeah, and then all of a sudden I heard him yip, and I seen like just a faint white tail through the bushes before they
And we
just
could, like,
peered down off the mountain.
we couldn't get it through to him. Like, really, he was like, well, how do you know he's not running other deer? I said, well, those 3 deer standing on the track right there, that's 100 yards from us. He's not
Right.
running them.
Right.
And he was like, man,
It's hard to make believers
I
out
know,
of them
dude.
until
It
they
was
see it. They got to see it.
yes. And then after that, I was like, man, I hope we find, I said, I want to find this deer. And he
Fuck
told me, he
yeah.
was like, he said, I'll pay y'all to come back. He said, we can just walk. We go down there and walk it. I said, well, if I go over there, like my Garmin still has the track in it. I can show you exactly where he went. And when he described where it was at, I was like, bro, that's exactly where he stopped it. Like literally right there. I said,
No, we do that a lot.
like we literally stayed there. Well, see, he didn't have permission to be there on that where the deer was at. Okay.
Right.
And I was like, well, we can just go like, look, man, well, nobody even go. We could go around to the other side of the road and walk in there. And we would have had to walk about.
just to see.
Yeah, we could have walked 200 yards off the road, off the main road. And could have just seen it. And I get it. Like, he didn't want to go down there and do all that, but he still winds up going and asking for permission. The guy said, sure, it's right over here. He said, I can take you right where the deer was found at. Because they actually had found it, one of the guys there.
Right.
And I was like, gum, man, that was so disheartening because it's a stud. For here, 170-inch deer is a big deer.
Oh, damn. Yeah, that's a good deer anywhere.
Yeah, he's a big deer.
We'll have that quite a bit, honestly. And it's 50-50 on whether that deer is going to float or sink. I've had pretty good luck with them floating for that first 5-10 minutes or so. But I've also watched them literally watch them run into the pond, go underwater, and then sink immediately.
Really?
And a lot of times, my buddy Taylor Bell up here in Oklahoma, he had a bunch this past year, and it was a similar deal. We track right up to a river or track right up to the lake or to a pond or whatever it was. And, hey man, why don't you just go check that pond tomorrow? We think if the dog didn't track out of it, like if we pull up to a pond and the dog runs up to the water and, he's nose down up to it. And I feel pretty confident that dog went to the water. If it's something I can walk around, hell, we'll go to the other side, and try to cut the track on the other side, and if they don't do it, pretty damn good odds that sucker sunk in there. And, sometimes it takes 24 hours. Sometimes it might take 2 or 3 days sometimes, to float up. But no, that's a pretty common deal, honestly. But the fact that y'all ran him for that long, that makes me kind of curious, because if you gave him, you probably gave him 12 hours ish, right? So that deer, to me, in my opinion, that deer probably was broke legged or something that wasn't in his guts, liver, because I don't think a deer would run. Most of the time, those a gut shot deer, if you get on them too early, they'll go and go and go, and you can't stop them. But that's inside 8 hours. But past 8 hours, I've never had a gut shot deer run more than 400 or 500 yards.
And that's what I told him, because he said it might have been a little far back. I said, well, that's good. Yeah, I said he shot him at 50 yards with 270. Well,
it might have been way back.
And that's what I figured too. I was like, he could have been something just not even what he was thinking. And it's like, man, the way he ran, and also as much as the dog opened up, he never barks that much. Now he was fired up. He's looking at him. That's what I said too. I said the deer. That was the first thing I said. I said he's not running fast enough to really smoke him. I said we kind of need to get down. We need to get down there. And so it was like, that's hell. If he ain't worried about it, I ain't worried about it. It's like, well, whatever.
Oh yeah.
I can't make you go.
We ran one into the lake this year. We've got there's big lakes all around us, and we ran one into this local lake, and I mean, there's blood up into the water, like on the rock into the water. And Huck he was way ahead of us, and I seen him swimming on the Garmin, and we got down there, and I mean, this is like a 20,000 acre lake, like it's a lake, and I mean that thing. We probably we ran him twice. He got ahead of us, but I mean, in total, we jumped him at probably 3/4 of a mile, and then we ran him another 3/4 of a mile, and he hit that water and just set sail, and we didn't, we weren't there to see it. So, I mean, we knew he went to the water because luckily the deer was bleeding still, but that guy went back for weeks and never did find the deer. So I think, and we were pretty sure that he was hitting the brisket anyways, like a frontal shot. So, I mean, that deer hit the water and probably either swam, made a big loop, and then hit the land, 500-600 yards down or something. But I don't even think that one died. I think he would have found it just the way it laid out, the way the deer probably would have ended up if he would have drowned. But a lot of times, then they hit that water, and it's like a gut shot. Like, they're going to be able to swim pretty good, but when they've got the, they get septic whenever they, get shot in the guts and they get fever. You can only swim so long, and they're just going to drown.
Yeah.
And they'll sink. But I've had pretty good luck over the years, them floating up. I've got a pretty cool video of Huck retrieving one out of a creek one time. all you could see was his tail, and
wow.
Well, I've seen him do it more than once, but I've only got one on video. But he all you see is the ass floating, and he went out there and grabbed the ass and swam it back to the bank like a Labrador.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's a little tip from the you get a little beer money for that. Be like, hey, check this out. Full retrieve.
It's funny. I've tried to talk him into it since then, and well, the problem is I've had a handful of times. I'm like, hey, dude, I know you can do this shit. Get out there and get that deer. Like, I'm not swimming today.
Yeah.
And a lot of times he'll get out. He'll go try. He'll try numerous times, but as soon as you get up to that deer, he'll try to grab it, and he'll step on it, and then the deer goes underwater, and it takes like 2 seconds to float back up. But if he can't get that initial grab, it just keeps going under and keeps going under. But if he'll get a hold of it, he'll bring it back.
Yeah.
But that's another. Yeah, he's probably my one in a lifetime dog. I hope not, but probably so.
Yeah, I mean, never can tell. It's one of those deals. I've been lucky. I've had two, and I doubt that I'll ever have anything even close. Because I just feel like I've been extremely lucky. But I know a couple of guys that have told me they're like, shit, I've had 20 of them. I was like, what?
Really?
Yeah. And I was like, well, how? They're like, well, because I've had the same line of dogs. I bred for consistency. I culled hard, and I did it right. I'm like, okay, well, sounds good to me, but I mean, and they wouldn't bullshit either. Like, it's some of them old men that, like, when they turn their dogs loose, it's going to happen. It doesn't matter where or what, it's going to happen. They're going to put the meat on the tailgate.
If it's when.
Yes, if you have to stay, it's those guys like I was talking about a while ago. It's like they ain't got to find no sign, they ain't got to find no track. We'll be at Walmart, drop the son of a bitch out, and he'll go. He'll go to California and he'll bay one. And I can't get one to bay one in the damn pen.
Yeah, you and me both. That would be a hell of a goal to achieve someday.
Yeah. Well, we're kind of working on it ourselves. Well, we are working on it, and it's kind of one of those deals like with the bay dogs. I don't feel like, and Nate, he stays on me, keeps me in check because like I had so many rough dogs. Like I had to have 20 dogs all the time, or 30, whatever, or 50. And with these, I don't have to have that many. Now I can make several. I can breed them up and get them going or whatever, get them old enough, and then send them to other people.
He really likes that. He's like, oh, we have these literally. I was like, well, if like we did like 2 litters a year or maybe just one. He's like, well, that's really not that much. And I was like,
It's not
Dad,
that much.
that's a lot. That's a lot to be managing.
1 liter a year
is reasonable. 2
is even more.
pushing it.
Jesus Christ! I could send Ricky 4 dogs. I could send Rusty 2 dogs.
Well, first,
There's
got them
all there.
$200
Yeah.
puppies for sale. So
Yeah.
they're gonna have to call him.
Oh, I got in trouble on that, guys, about Rusty and the $200 puppies. Don't call him, please.
Oh, hell, I thought they were $100.
Dude, people started calling
You told
him.
me they were $100.
People started calling him for real. He was trying to cut grass. He said the phone kept ringing. He said, man, I was wondering. He said, what the fuck is going on? He said, people's calling, hey, bud, you got some of them yellow pup for sale? And he was like, I got some pup. I ain't getting rid of none. Oh, I heard you had something for sale. And Rusty said he got done with that conversation about 20 minutes later. Here come another one. He was like, what is going on? He said, about that third one, he said, that damn Joey. He said, that son of a bitch been on that podcast running his mouth.
Running his mouth.
He called me and I felt bad. I was like, well, I didn't tell anybody to call you. You know,
I didn't mean it.
That shit was funny as hell. But the crazy thing was I had 2 people contact me that day and ask me about puppies, about yellow pups. And I was like, I ain't got no puppies. And I didn't think nothing about it. Yeah, I didn't think nothing about it. I said, Lord, if I'd actually thought about it, I would have kept on with it.
It's funny you say that. We've got a kind of a running joke. I keep up with probably 5 or 6 other deer trackers in the area, and it never fails throughout the year after season or whenever. People will call and want you to find their missing dog or their missing cat or just the most random shit. And I'm like, well, is the dog bleeding? Like, what do you mean? Like, just track a damn dog. We run a blood trailing service. Yeah, well, it's the running joke is if I get called, I give out 2 of my other buddies' numbers and tell them that they've got a dog tracking dog.
Oh, hell.
And they'll be calling them and, well, no, I don't have a dog. Who told you that? Well, Ricky told me that you got a dog that can track a dog. And,
thank you so much, Ricky. Thank you so much.
It'll go back and forth numerous times. Hell, I got a call the other day to track one, and I was like, who told you that? And they were like, oh, his name's Taylor Bell. I said, that's some bitch.
That is good stuff right there, for real. Yeah, I'll be using that a little bit.
Just give me your best friend's number. It'll work.
Yeah, they call my best friend. He'll be like, yeah, how much does it pay?
Yeah, sure.
Rodney will do it. Rodney will be like, hey, come on. He said, we got to go track
I got a dog
dog
for this.
Yeah, I got a dog for this. So, man, that's crazy. So what else you got going on you want to talk about?
Man, not a whole lot. I just, me and Nathan kind of talking about podcasts and stuff, and I was, we had discussed doing more of them, and I don't know. I had a good time the last time I was with y'all, and I've done a handful of others, and
hell yeah,
I don't know. I'd like to keep doing them.
That sounds good to me.
Open to it. Have you picked out a name yet?
Yeah.
What's your segment going to be called?
Because I'm not going to do it.
I'm not going to do it. I need you. You're the talker. Shit.
No, well, fuck, I can't look at it. Everybody's going to be like, God damn, he don't ever shut up. Josh Presley's ass. Was it Josh Presley? I think what it said. He's like, somebody was talking about the podcast one episode, and they were like, man, that was a great one. He's like, yeah, if Joey be quiet, it'd be even better. I was like, what an asshole. But
I'm the host. What do you mean?
Well, somebody's got to bleed the, you know what I mean? Somebody's got to be quick and keep pushing down the line, I have ever listened to a podcast where you'll have this awkward moment of silence, and it's like, is somebody gonna say something?
Yeah, we can't do
Joey
that.
Ain't gonna have no awkward silence.
Fuck no, it's awkward, but it ain't silent.
It ain't silent. That's what somebody's bumping guns.
You damn right.
That's the point.
My favorite one is where I start telling people, I'm like, now look, tell me this, and be serious as hell, and then I say, and look, don't start lying either. and they just don't know what to think. You know, they're like, what
They think you're serious.
Yeah, they're like, what the fuck is he talking about? And I have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm just letting it go.
Just bump and gum. You just got to keep talking.
But in all honesty, I think that's probably the biggest feedback that we've had that's positive is that people, they're like, well, it's never really stale. You know, there's never a stalemate. There's episodes that are better than others, but like we just kind of keep it rolling.
Yeah, and I mean you can go down any path you want and just shoot the shit. That's the other good thing is like hell. We don't have to be serious on plot hounds or this and pit bulls do that and blah blah blah. It's like shit, just talk. I mean, most of the podcasts I like to listen to are just people shooting the shit, and then you might listen to 20 minutes of dumb shit and then hear a 30-second clip that changed your life.
Yes,
you know, or change the way you train or change the way you do things. You know,
that's what we've been told on this. They're like, dude, they're like, y'all are so full of shit, and but almost every single episode, there's going to be some little knowledge that's dropped in there that somebody didn't know. Man, I've got so many messages and calls over the past year or two. It's crazy how many people are listening to us now, and that like they're legitimately some guys out there that have never had a dog at all, and they have started their dogs and do it based on everything that comes off of here. And I'm like, oh shit,
That's a terrible idea.
Don't do that. Like, don't do that. And then a few weeks later, they're like, hey, here's a video of my first hog that I caught with a dog that I got off the side of the road or whatever, and it works out great. And man, that's when I realized I was like, this is really. It's not a bad thing. And there's people that talk shit. You know, I've had people, they're like, oh, we need more, we need a better podcast. We need this, we need that. Well, shit, hook it up, do it, wear it out.
Yeah, you start it.
Yeah, knock it out. Like,
it can't all be 10s.
Yeah.
That refers to everything.
No.
That's right, you know. No. But it is. So, like, but we do, like, the Houndsman XP, the way they got a lot of their stuff set up, they've got all these different little branches and episodes and stuff, and people have their different slots that they do. I think that's a great format, you know, because it's like you don't have to search 35 different ones. You can get all your stuff right here. You have a good plug, you know, like you can go.
I agree. That's why when Nate said that, I was like, man, that's a way. I mean, I feel like that's a better idea, and I like you said on that particular podcast, it is like I like listening to the Heath Hyatt more than I do others, you know.
Exactly.
And so it's cool. I think that's a good idea, and I'd be super pumped to be able to do it.
Well, we're in. I mean, 100%. You know, just you and Nate, y'all hash it all out, and
just let me know what you want to do, and we can make it happen.
Lined up.
The more you already know what you want, the easier it is for me to make it happen.
I like it.
Well, like we do the one with Uncle Pat.
Yeah. And see, I don't like separating ours because this is my perspective on it. And to each their own, manage your podcast however you want. I don't separate ours out because Dixie Doggers is a team. It's a team of people. It's a community. So really I don't like separating it out. I'd be like, okay, this is an episode of Ask Uncle Pat, you know, but it's still the Dixie Doggers podcast. It's not Ask Uncle Pat's or like.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. You don't have to go to 35 different ones. Yeah. And so
but now it's a little harder to find certain segments. Like it's harder. I also acknowledge that it is harder to like delve through sometimes and just find like, oh, this Uncle Pat one or this Showtime with Boars and Broads or something like that.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like it's all the same in my mind because we're all this community. And it's like, hell, you don't want to listen to Pat? Why are you listening to us then? It's like we all on the same team, you know.
Well, that's what we've been. Well, that's why we started this.
Yeah.
Going and hunting the way I have over all these years, the first 3/4 of my hunting career, I was by myself, and I didn't share shit with nobody. I didn't hand out dogs. You couldn't buy a dog from me, period. Even though you probably don't want one, once you get it, you want to give it away or get rid of it. And like I was a hermit, And I was one of them old
Yep.
bastards that we talk about now. And I was like, that's me. When a young
Yep.
man was like, he was talking about going hog hunting and he was asking me questions. And I was like, man, I was trying to help him, but I wouldn't just give. He was like, if you would just be open and honest, he said, this will help me a lot. And so once I'd done that, I was like, he's like, I've tried and so many people just shut me down. He said, and they just treat me like shit. And I was like, well, bro, that ain't no good. And I realized I was one of them same kind of guys. I was like, well, if I don't change something, then it's never going to happen. People preach unity all the time. But what are you doing to make it better? You know, if somebody has a different perspective, they're welcome to get on here and discuss it. I'm not going to argue with them. I'm not going to go against them. They have free reign to sit here and tell the world their perspective. If it's a rabbit hunter, get on here, buddy. Deer hunters, deer doggers, whatever. We try to keep it open because that's the way the dog hunting community really should be. And as much as we all say it, nobody's really doing it that much.
It's really not. It is. And I'll be guilty of it too. Sometimes I'll have a young guy come to me, but that was also what happened to me when I was young.
Yeah.
I was trying to do this.
That's right.
It was the same thing. It was like, and it's also, I don't know, it's similar to at the fire station. We've got young guys that come in and there's this salt dog that knows everything and has this wealth of knowledge, but he's like, he won't help these young guys. And I will say, there is a damn loss of connection with these 20-year-old kids.
Yes.
And I can say kid now. I'm 36 years old.
That's
so
right.
I'm old. I'm old now. So it's like it is very, very hard to connect with some of them. But I've taken a kind of a role to help teach younger firemen now. But like looking back when I was 20, I got hired when I was 23, so I wasn't much older, but I had a little. I also grew up with a dad that taught me shit, and I knew my tools, and I knew how to work, and I had a work ethic.
That's right.
A lot of these kids that grow up on video games, and a dad that's never doesn't change his oil and doesn't change his tires, and doesn't know how to hang a fucking TV on the wall.
Oh,
and
amen.
I was lucky. I was lucky that I had that. Look now, it's so hard to find, and I think that's a lot of the same thing in the dog world.
It is.
When I first started, there was a handful of guys that helped me, and there was a handful of guys that would give me breadcrumbs.
They give you just enough.
Give me just enough, but also like you also felt kind of like a dumbass when you got off the phone with them.
Yeah,
and
and we're on the right path because whether people like it or not, or whether they agree with me or not, doing stuff like we're doing right now, openly talking about this, and that it is an issue and it has been an issue, we're making a difference already just by openly professing it. You take guys like Pat. Pat was taught by the old school dog men. You work your ass off nonstop and you get the least amount from them.
Right.
Does that build character? Sure, but what type of character? It builds character in a lot of ways that could have been built up probably better if it was a little different road to it. Like you said, some of these guys don't have a dad at all, and they want to go hunting. So who's going to take them hunting? And then all we do is bitch about, well, man, we're going to lose all our hunting rights. We're not going to be able to run dogs. Well, guess what? Well, I'm going to be fucking old and dead by that time. So who's the next guy in line? And if we're not trying to help them, then we're just wasting our damn time anyway.
I agree.
Well,
I agree, and it's hard to.
Out, boy.
Well, and I'm right there with you because I mean I had to, like I said, I had a handful of guys that helped me, but I also had to do it the hard way. And hell, I want the 20-year-old to do it the hard way too,
That's right.
to a certain extent. But like you said, you got it could be better.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, you can be hard on them. You can be tough on them. We got a young guy that's been hunting with us, and he's new to the whole thing. And I was pretty hard on him last year, and then
Yep.
like this year, literally a couple weeks ago, when Rick got out and went 4,000 miles over there, wherever the hell he was hunting at, doing whatever, we had other dogs that were coming. They were backtracking, and I was like, "Damn, man, we'll have to turn right around and go back." Well, guess what? That young guy was sharing our collars. He stayed down there without me telling him. He stayed down there and waited on them. He was like, "Well, I know where y'all are going to be because I got y'all in my system." He said, "I figured I'd go ahead and pick these dogs up so you don't have to backtrack." Well, look at that.
There we go.
Now we're fucking
Something's
talking,
clicking.
brother. Now we're
Yeah.
talking. And so
Using your knife.
it's just
Yeah.
little things like that. I feel like I'm beating a dead horse about it. Sometimes I'm like, damn, these boys ain't listening to shit. Guess what? They are. They're just tired of me bitching.
Yeah.
They're tired of me bitching. They're just not listening to that. So,
Yeah.
but no, we would
Well-
love to do it. I think it'll be great.
Cool. Well, I appreciate it. I kind of thought about my slogan is "Don't run, you only die tired." So I figured maybe we just call it "Don't Run."
There you go. That's what we'll do.
I don't know.
I
All right.
like it.
I like it. I like it a lot. So, well, man, I'm glad you got back on here and we got to catch up. And we're gonna have
I appreciate it.
Gonna have something new and exciting as usual. We try to keep it fresh up in here in this damn Dixie Dogger world, buddy.
Got to.
Got
Got
to.
to.
Well, Ricky, man, I appreciate it. You just keep on doing your damn thing, and we all looking at you. We watching you, brother, and we rooting for you.
I appreciate it, man. It has been refreshing with the Lite Hounds deal has been the amount of people that are rooting for me. So, it's been cool, and I'm trying to return the favor and do the same for everybody else. And I appreciate it, and hopefully it all goes well.
Amen, my brother. Well, that'll work, man. So everybody be looking forward. We'll drop an announcement on a date when we're gonna set up the episodes, and Nate will do all that stuff. Nate and Ricky, they'll do all that. I'm not gonna do none of that. So I'm just gonna be pretty. So
Oh, yeah.
all right, fellas. Well, appreciate it. Until the next time, we're gonna be gone.
Thank y'all.
We'll see you, Ricky.
Yeah. Bye.
All right, bye.
Hope you enjoyed that episode. If there's anything or anyone you'd like to hear on the podcast, or if you'd like to come hunt with us, don't hesitaate to contact us at dixiedoggers01@gmail.com.